And thank you very much, Kwame. Round two. Thank you.
Yeah,
Appreciate
man.
it.
Thank you for having me back.
No doubt. Carrying the Culture Show, episode 37. And we barely scratched the surface with the questions, and we went a lot of different places, and there was some shit. I was like, yo, we gotta finish this up. So thank you
Yeah,
again.
definitely.
So I made a mark kind of where we left off, and a couple of things I wanted to cover just that you had touched on, but then we jumped to some other things. Um, you were on Ichiban, and you mentioned briefly, like, chilling with MC Breed, rest in peace, and then we
Yeah.
got on to something else. Like, just can you just share a little bit more about that?
So, just to recap real quick, I was out of a deal. I wasn't on Atlantic Records anymore. I thought that I was going to easily land another major deal, and that was not in the cards for me. So I ended up with this real janky, like, manager dude, man. It was, I don't even know how that happened, but I ended up with this manager guy, and we ended up getting this deal on Ichiban. And Ichiban was an independent label based out of Atlanta / Smyrna, Georgia. And Ichiban had like a very wide variety of artists on it. They had the Treacherous Three, they had Kumo D, they had 95 South, if I'm not mistaken. They at one point had Vanilla Ice, very, very briefly. They had MC Breed and Project Pat, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
It was a bunch of, just a whole, like, a mismatch of artists on the label. And I ended up linking up with MC Breed when I got down there, and it was the first time that I met a rapper, and I'm pretty sure there were rappers that I'm talking about, just met a rapper on my own that had a very nice home for the time, very nice car, a nice studio set up in the basement.
This was down in Atlanta?
Barring the LL Cool J's of the world and the, like, people of the super, super high, or the MC Hammers of the world with the grand mansion. Most rappers at that time were just like living all right. It wasn't like we're not gonna shoot Coming to America 2 in our homes in 1992. So nobody was really rocking like that. So to see that, it was like, yo, man, this label may be doing something. He was just off of Ain't No Future in Your Frontin'. He had the record with Pac, Gotta Get Mine. So Breed was doing his thing, and it just made me realize it was a whole other level to Breed that was just so dope. Me as an MC, I'm a writer. I like to write. I'm not a freestyler. I'm not anything like that. But going down to Breed's crib, it was him and a rapper by the name of Jabri out of Ohio. And all they would do all day, every day is smoke, make beats, and freestyle. And their level of freestyling was just like incredible, man. Like, they would just go for hours and hours. And I can't keep up. I can't even think about keeping up. Because that's just not my talent. And
quick question. This was down in Atlanta?
Yeah,
okay.
This was in Atlanta. And so I just started to see a whole nother way of living. This is pre-Olympics. So anybody in Atlanta, they know about Atlanta. Pre-1996 Atlanta is totally different than post-1996. Because once the Olympics came, the economy and everything just kind of shot up. And it was a whole lot of things that we know of now. But before that, you could get like a 5,000. I remember looking at this one house in College Park, 5,000 square feet, 6-bedroom house for like it was $96,000. I remember that, like, explicitly. I was like, yo, man, these cribs are so cheap. Living is so different out here, and I really was considering at that point making the move from New York to Atlanta, but my mom just wasn't with it. You know what I'm saying? Like I wasn't trying to live at 21, 22 years old in that big type of crib just by myself. So, you know, it was like a whole culture experience that I had when I went down there, especially rocking out with Bree.
Got you. Oh yeah, that's crazy, man. So like, so what night you said this was 92?
90, yeah, 92, 90. Yeah, it was it was the spring of 93.
And you
Yeah,
were
because I recorded the album in like April, May of 93, and out of nowhere the album came out. When did Ready to Die come out?
94.
Okay, so if I recorded the album, it might have been 94. I'm getting my dates mixed up because it was the same year my album dropped the same year Ready to Die dropped, but I don't know, I can't remember the month of Ready to Die, but I'm only using that as a perspective because I know that it was the same year. And I remember being in a record store in like June looking for something and seeing my album on the shelf and not knowing that it was even released. And it was not even but a couple of months after I recorded that album that album was out. And then I remember Craig Mack and Big and a lot of other people came out later on, you know, in that fourth quarter.
September 13th.
Yeah, so I saw my album in June. So I must have recorded it in early spring 94.
Okay, gotcha.
Got the deal in 93, did the pre-recording at home in 93, and then went to Atlanta in 94. Smyrna, actually, in 94.
Got you. Okay. I got a bunch of random stuff here that's based on things that I've read or seen. So I was rewatching one of the videos. I can't remember the song. And I don't know how I missed it back in the day, but I saw DJ Tap Money in it.
Yeah.
From you know what I'm saying, Hilltop Hustlers. So how did that link come about with you guys? I was like, yo, that's Tap Money. You know what I'm saying? Steady B, these cats.
Yeah, you know, Tap's been my DJ now for over 30 years at this
point.
And so yeah, Tap, you know, everywhere I go, Tap goes. So
big up DJ Tap Money.
Yeah, man. So how that started, it's weird. It's like before I officially came out, you know, I went to a show with Kid and Play and Herbie Lovebug, and the show was in Richmond, Virginia. And it was several months before I came out. And I was hyped about, you know, coming out and doing all this kind of stuff. So I had like test pressings with me, like test cassettes, or like promotional cassettes, promotional vinyl, because Herbie was like, it would be cool to be in this setting with Kid and Play and give out some of your promotional items. So the opening act was Steady B and Cool C. So they were the first rappers that I met outside of my crew, Kid and Play, Salt and Pepper, Sweet Tea, Dana Dane. And the crazy thing was the show never happened. It was a blizzard. So we all got snowed in and we were all stuck in the hotel that we were staying at. So I just kicked it with them and we just talked hip hop like the whole night. And me and Tat just got real cool. So I handed everybody my cassette and I was like, yeah, I'm coming up next year, blah, blah, blah. Because this was in 88 when I met up with them. And so the first album dropped. I had a DJ, his name was B Flat, R.I.P., my man Brian, he was my boy and practically my DJ since literally the 5th grade. So Brian was along rocking with us. And so as time went on, as things became more and more and more and more successful, and no just to Brian, but I noticed that Brian B wasn't really trying to, I don't think he was really vibing with the whole shirt and tie, polka dot. You know, B was like hardcore. So I don't think he was really into that. His brothers were rhyming MCs. You know, he was a dope DJ and producer himself, and I think they just wanted to do their own thing. So him and his brothers formed a group called the Fifth Platoon, and the Fifth Platoon ended up coming out with a record called The Party Line.
That was the Party Line, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So Fifth Platoon came out with Party Line, and you know, there was no bad blood. Like I said, this is my friend since the 5th grade, so I'm never gonna have no issue with B doing his thing. But B decided to do his thing 2 days before we were supposed to go on a major tour, and so I was like, "Yo, we need a DJ. I was like, I'm gonna just call Tat, because at that exact same time, Tat was going through it with the Hilltop Cats, and he was out of a gig. So I was like, yo, you want to rock with us? And you know, we were already hanging out. You know, I was always going to Philly. I was hanging out with Tat. I was hanging out with 3 Times Dope, Larry Lab. Those were like my crew in Philly. We went everywhere together.
Wow.
So it was very, very natural for Tat to come down and hang out. So Tat went on tour with us, and he ain't never stopped since. You know, that was the spring, early summer of 1990, and shit, we got a show next week. So you know, we've been rocking.
That's so dope. Yeah, who would have guessed the Kwamé West Philadelphia Hilltop Hustler connection? And big up to the homie ESG. He be on the page. Let me check and see what question we got here. We're gonna get into that in a minute. We're not getting into that one. All right. Yeah. So that's dope. Yeah, because I saw him and I was like, yo. And all I remember seeing him from was, you know, the Steady B joints. You know what I'm saying? Serious and whatnot. So I was like, oh shit. So one other question: why the you know you went to producing and everything? Why the name change? Was it an official name change or?
No, it was never really an official name change. Actually, it was me joking around, and it worked at the time. So, Bad Boy Hitman producer, his name is Ron Lawrence. Ron Lawrence produced Hypnotized for Biggie. He produced Money, Power, Respect. He produced so many records under the Hitman umbrella, him and D-Dot. And he also had a group called Two Kings in a Cypher. And so Ron grew up with me. Ron lived on my block. Ron is about 5-6 years older. Ron is a part of Herbie's crew when they were a rap group. But Ron always checked up with me, and Ron always checked on me. And when things were kind of on a slow point, you know, I would let Ron hear the beats that I was making and the projects that I was working on. And Ron really wanted to help out. So at one point I created this group where I was the rapper of the group, but it wasn't going to be Kwame in a New Beginning. It was just going to be some current modern shit at the time. And Ron was going to help put it out. And so we started that way. And then when Ron was hearing the beats that I was making for the group, Ron was like, yo, man, you can sell these beats. Like, be out here in the market as a producer. These beats are incredible. You can actually sell these beats. And I was so thinking about coming back out. But he was like, yo, man, you know, sometimes you just got to move in a different direction. And he said, just give me a chance. Give me a beat CD, and let's see what happens. 2 weeks later, Ron gives me a call.
What year was this?
Yo, huh?
What year was this?
This is
Roughly.
2000.
Okay.
So 99, 2000. So Ron gives me a call and he's like, yo, man, got good news. LL wants 3 beats. I was like, word? And he said, and Mary J. Blige wants a beat. So that's 4 beats out of an 8-beat CD. So I'm like, oh shit, for real? And he's like, yeah. he said, but I got to tell you, man, you know, it's going to be kind of hard selling the name Kwame when you've been out the system for so long. You know, I haven't had an album out. It's 2000, and I ain't had a record out since 94. So it's like, you know, and that didn't even do that well. So it's like, he's like, yo, to be honest with you, your name is shit out here. So what can we do? And I was like, well, I'm in here. I'm working like a damn robot. Like, I'm trying to kill these beats. I'm like a robot called K1 Million or something like that. He's like, yo, just go with that. Let's just use that. And so I was like, I don't care, because I had literally everything to gain and nothing to lose.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So we and I tell this story a lot, and I do it for a real reason, because you never know what avenues life is going to take you. And so up until this point, I'm selling beats like on the street. Like I'm rocking with I see my son in here, King Alasi. What up? Dope producer himself, dope MC himself. So follow him. So at this time, nothing's popping for me. You know, I'm selling these random beats on the street, like literally to like street groups. I go out, I'm hanging out in Philly. I'm selling to groups in Philly, selling some beats to groups in Harlem. But it was just like cats in the street, you taking their money, flipping it, and trying to make records with it. I wasn't really making any moves. So I lived in a 1-bedroom apartment in Harlem, 6th floor, walk up, $400 a month rent. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't the grimiest, but it definitely wasn't the dopest. And I didn't know what was going to happen, and I didn't know where I was going to go in my career in music. And then all of a sudden I get a call that LL Cool J wants 3 beats and Mary J. Blige wants a beat. And I'm still not, you know, I'm excited, because to me it's like the greatest rapper of all time wants 3 joints. You know, the greatest R&B chick of the time wants a joint. And so I remember the day that I had to go record with LL Cool J. And back in the days, you would have to go into the studio and not recreate the beat, but pretty much relay all the music down and kind of work from scratch right there. Instead of now, you can just have a Pro Tools system at home and email the damn session. But you had to pretty much put the work in. So I remember sitting there, and I'm sitting on my couch, and I'm like, once I go down to the studio and do this job, the current life that I know might just be over. You know what I'm saying? The current state of living and being that I was in might be over. And I don't know. I don't know how to take it. So it was almost like I felt like I started getting nauseous, sweating, and I wasn't like I'm like, yo, dude, you about to have? Are you getting sick? You getting sick before you're big? And I picked up the phone. I was going to cancel, and then, you know, my real brain kicked in, and I was like, yo, dude, you having a panic attack, and it's basically you're having a panic attack because you don't know what's next. And I'm always trying to see the next step or what's around the corner, and I don't know what's next. And that was the one and only time that I got nervous about something, especially with music. I ain't never nervous about anything. So I dealt with it, got on the train, went down to 54th Street to Sony Studios and worked on the music. And then LL walks in, and mind you, nobody knows who K1 Million is. So L walks in, he looks at me like, Kwam, what you doing here? I'm like, man, I'm the producer. He's like, wait, you're K1 Million? You're the one I just paid for 3 beats? I was like, yeah. And which got him even more hyped. So we're in there, you know, working on the song. He's writing the rhymes. I'm writing the hook. You know what I'm saying? And one of the songs is called Throw Your L's Up. He's like, man, I love the demo the way you said the hook. You might as well just do the hook. So, you know, now I'm doing a record with LL Cool J, and I'm not asking for credit or anything like that. I'm just hype.
Of course.
I'm hype. I'm doing a record with LL, you
Right, of
know,
course.
literally.
You're not even thinking about that shit.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm doing the beat. I wrote the hook. I'm on the hook, and he's writing the rhyme. The record is dope. Yo, I'm good. And then we did another record called 10 Million Stars, which is probably of my top 3 records that I've ever produced. I love that record. And we did 10 Million Stars. And then we did another record the next day called The Winner Is. And that was like a children's book. He did like this children's book, and it was like music that went along with the children's book where he was rapping. So we did that. And, you know, I'm like, yo. And then the next week, you know, I had to do this random birthday party appearance as Kwamé the rapper. But at the same time, across town was Mary J. Blige waiting for me to come in and produce her record. So I'm on stage rushing. I'm like, yo, get the fuck up out of here. And hit the studio for that. And then literally within a 2-week span, my former life was over.
Mm-mm.
Because in my brain, I was like, I ain't going back to that shit. So, you know, I'm in the studio day and night. I like my studio, my apartment in Harlem literally turned into the studio. The bedroom became the vocal booth. The living room became the control room. And I would literally wake up. You know, it was like clockwork. I would wake up at 7:45 in the morning, shower, dress, straight to beats. And I would work on beats from 8:30 to like maybe 9, 10 o'clock that night. Every night. And I would deliver another beat CD to Ron, and Ron would sell them. Ron would, you know, he would get his commission and he would sell them. And then the word started going around that, you know, so the first couple like them. So and this was the thing that really was dope, because it was like 0 to 100. So LL's album, that was the album called 10, that goes gold. So that's his last like gold. I think it's platinum now, but his last plaque that he ever, you know, received off of albums. And so that does well. And then Mary J. Blige is the No More Drama album, and that shit is 15 million. So I went from 0 to over 15 million records. And I'm like, that shit blew my brain. And never, but it never like went to my head. It was just like more fuel. Because a lot of times people get a success situation and then they fall back. Nah, man, that was like ultra fuel to keep going. And it's like I didn't, you know, I never wanted to just be pigeonholed to one type of producer. So I was trying to hit up rappers, singers, pop artists. I didn't care. I was trying to get it in.
Yo, that's fucking crazy. Like just the rapid, you know what I mean? Like like you're trudging along, and then all of a sudden it's like, boom, here's this express elevator to the penthouse. You know what I mean? When meanwhile you're going up the steps.
You know how I look at it as literally walking up a hill, right? Or driving up a hill, or pedaling a bike. Better yet, pedaling a bike up a hill in the dark. You don't know how far or long this hill is, right? And all of a sudden, you get to the top of the hill, and then it's a dope ass dip, and you just coasting out of nowhere. So you're in that moment, you're coasting, you're speeding down the hill, and everything feels good. But at the same time, you got to realize that you were going up this hill in the dark, struggling for a long ass time. And you know, you never know. At the end of that dip might be a whole nother hill. But if the dip is big enough, if the success is high enough, the hill is high enough, and that success is big enough, that dip will take you up the whole next hill. And that's how it feels. Nothing feels like overnight. There's nothing that happens overnight. Anybody that has overnight success was trying for at least 10 years before that.
Right.
And and
I mean, the work had to be put in to get you to the point to make a beat dope enough for LL to fuck with. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
so
yeah.
You had
but
to
that's
get to
for
that.
anybody. The
You
work
had to
has
get
to
to
be
that
put
point.
in.
You had to get to that point. So
Yeah, it was so what if I gave up in 1994 because of a lack of success, and here it is, the year 2000, and somebody's asking for beats, and I'm trying to make up the time between 94 and 2000 to try to get nice with the tracks. It don't work that way. I have had to consistently make music from 1994 all the way up to 2000 to be able to possibly sell something, so it's never been an easy job for anything on any of it.
Hard work, man. So is 30 million a number? That's what I read. Like that's as far as.
So if I combine all the records, it's probably over that now because that's an old thing. But it's in that ballpark, 30 million. If you combine all the sales of all the records that I've produced on, it's
That's phenomenal. Like, can we stop for a second? That's like ridiculous, man. And that deserves 40. The 40 people here need to show some love for that, man. That's crazy, yo. That's not like a.
Yeah, no, it's amazing because honestly, my thing is all I ever wanted is something to show for the rap career. I'm like, yo, just give me a gold plaque for the first album, and I'm good. I can walk away saying I did this, and it's not about the awards. It's not about plaques. It's not about none of that stuff because a lot of times, people assume that those awards make you better than or super rich, or I don't know what you could call it, but it's definitely not about that. But I think when you work at a job for a very long time, like I have, it's good to know that you can have something to show for it. It's like any job. You put anybody on a job for 30 years and nobody's just going to want to walk away with a memory of the job. They want to carry something with them.
Some type of impact, especially if it's a job that they love to do. I mean, not if you're just, you know what I mean? Like, let's not get it twisted. I mean, if it's a job that you're a passion that you really have, yes. And you know what I'm saying? Salute to you for the longevity in the game and for switching it up and having the vision to go in a different lane, taking the risk, man. That's a very big, important part of it. Like taking the risk, having the courage to do that, because not a lot of people do that because they're afraid of, you get comfortable sometimes. Oh, this is what I was. You could have held on to the polka dots forever. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm gonna die. I'm gonna go take the polka dots to the grave. But it's like, you know what I'm saying? You decided, so okay, we gotta switch it up here if I want to, keep doing this. So.
And the thing is, like at one point I was like so anti. At one point it was weird. Like once the studio stuff started going, I almost became a little bit anti old school hip hop, anti polka dots, anti all of that because it was like there was so much struggle nation involved with that. I didn't want to. I just didn't want to deal with it. And but now just being fully mature me, I just understand that there's room for all of that. There's nothing wrong with acknowledging your past. there's nothing wrong with representing your past, and people get so caught up on what's now or what's futuristic that they never want to acknowledge their past or represent their past. And that's not me. I do a show, if it's a quote unquote Kwamé classic hip hop show, trust and believe I'm gonna throw them polka dots on and rock all the way out like it's 1989, 1990. And when I produce like it's right now. So it's you know, and then whatever I do in between, it is what it is. But what I'm not gonna do is be stuck.
Right.
You know,
Facts.
I'm not gonna be stuck. And what I'm also not gonna do is conform to something that I don't believe in. You know,
Right.
that's another thing, you know.
Facts. So, yo, my head popped off when I read that Vin Diesel was your cousin.
Okay.
And can you? So I'm now trying to piece it together. It's said that he was in some videos, but I looked real hard. Which videos was he in?
So the video he's in is a record called Nasty, Nastee, and he plays my protagonist. There was I'm trying to bag a chick, and Vin is trying to beat my ass. But Vin is he's, how old is he? He's about 6 years older than me. So Vin is the son of my grandfather's first cousin. So what does that make him?
I have no idea, but
yeah, I don't do those numbers.
Yeah,
so,
yeah. You're related.
So he's the son of my grandfather's first cousin.
He's 53.
So, okay, so Vin, he ain't no 53. Anyway, so Vin has a twin brother named Paul, and then they have a younger sister named Samantha. Samantha's my age. And so me and Samantha we run more together than me, Vin, and Paul, because, you know, like I said, they were the older kids. And yeah, that's how it is.
Okay, so then he was in that video, and he was a b-boy. I mean, like, what was the other connection as far as music goes? Like, what else were you doing? Haven't you done some other work with him?
No, well, so one of the things, but the reason why I put him in the video at the time was we were trying to develop. He wanted to rap, so we were trying to develop his presence as just somebody, like, if the song blew up, people would start to recognize him, and then I would start putting him in other things, and, you know, that was the discussion. But then around, you know, pretty much around the same time, he was still also pursuing film, and his father's name is Irving. Irving was a film professor at NYU, so he had access to film equipment and stuff like that. So at that time, he was doing like independent films. He had a film called, I think, Multifacial or Multiracial, one or two, and something else. I know that sounds like he was on. You can find Multifacial on Pornhub right now. Just
starving artist. Yo, hold on.
Yo, you can go on Pornhub right now and go to find Multifacial.
Plug for a new Vin Diesel film coming out, Multifacial.
Starring Vin Diesel and a young Heather Hunter. I don't know. Like,
what?
Let me stop.
You got Heather Hunter. Yo. that was a detour.
So Multiracial is the name of the film, I think. But it could be called Multifacial. Look it up.
Maybe that, you know, they do like the bootleg porn versions, like, you know what I'm saying, the Sarah Palin type shit, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Okay.
So he did these things, but then, so he took the thing that was dope about it. His independent film got noticed by Sundance, And
Word,
so when he
word,
showed his
word. Got to
film,
start. Hold on. She said you got to start somewhere. Yes. Facts.
yes.
Okay.
So his film got noticed at Sundance, and one of the people who saw his film was Steven Spielberg.
Okay.
And
It's a
Steven
wrap.
Spielberg put him in Saving Private Ryan. And from Saving Private Ryan, he was not thinking about doing no rap records at that point.
Fuck out of here. He like,
He
yo,
became official Vin Diesel.
I'm getting this movie money, man. That box office paper, like
Yeah.
that.
You notice most rappers or aspiring rappers that get that movie paper kind of chill out thinking about making rap records. They, if they do, those records are very far and few in between.
When's the last Ice-T record you heard? You know what I'm saying? Like,
Exactly.
for real, son. Like, I feel it. Yo, the interesting story I need you to tell and elaborate on. The Belle Biv DeVoe poison story, because in terms of writing that
BBD,
joint.
man, I always get caught up in these weird situations. Let me not say dating. I was messing with. I'll be nice. I was dating this girl.
Oh shit!
I was dating this girl. This was like '89. Dating this girl in LA, and her father was in the business somewhat, and we were like around the same age, 17, 18. No, so I was like 17. I was going on 17, and we're messing around, and it was weird. It was something real weird. I was allowed to sleep at her house when I came to LA, and I don't understand parents that allow their teenage daughters to let someone like me sleep in their house, but
yeah, we know what type of shit. We know what type of shit you was on at that time.
Exactly. So I was at this girl. I was messing with this girl, and I was staying at her house, and she would go off to school in the daytime and leave me in the crib, or left me in the crib this one particular time. And her brother, who was close to our age, he might have been a little bit older, was home, and he was like, "Yo, you want to hang out? Let's, I'm gonna show you LA. You want to hang out?" And I'm like, "Yeah, bet." So as we're hanging out, he doesn't tell me where we're about to go. So the first place we go is Ralph Tresvant's house. So here I am at Ralph Tresvant's house, and me and Ralph hanging out for most of the day. He has a studio, and we're kicking it. And me and Ralph like literally start contemplating a best of both worlds album before that was even in style. And we kicking it. And then I leave Ralph's house, and then we go to this other house in the Hollywood Hills, and it's Ricky and Ronnie have a crib together. And Ricky and Ronnie, we're all in there. So then Mike comes over, and we're all playing Sega Genesis all day, like young kids. You know what I'm saying? Everybody, we not fully grown yet. So we all in the crib playing video games and hanging out. And that's how I get to meet New Edition, right? And we all stay in touch. And then one day, I'm hanging out, and I have another friend out here named Dougie D. And Dougie D and Dana Dane, the rapper Dana Dane, we're all hanging out one time. And then we get a phone call from Mike. And Mike is like, "Yo, let's all go to this club called the Palladium." And I'm like, "All right, bet, let's go to the Palladium." So we all jump in. Mike picks us up. We jump in the car. And as we're driving to the club, Mike puts in a tape. He's like, "Yo, I just want to tell y'all, don't tell nobody, but I'm leaving New Edition." And we're like, "What? For what? Like, why would you leave New Edition?" Like,
yeah.
He was like, "Nah, it's going to be me, Ronnie, and Rick. We leaving New Edition." And doing what? we're going to start our own group called BBD. And I'm like, you're bugging.
That almost sound like BVDs, the
Yeah,
fucking
I'm like,
drawers and shit.
like I said, like the T-shirts.
Yeah.
BBD. Like he's like, nah, BBD, Bell Bib DeVoe. And I'm like, and what exactly are y'all gonna do? Ricky gonna sing and we gonna rap. I'm like, all right. I totally didn't get it. Like, all right, that's what y'all doing. And he puts in this thing. Like, check out, we got this one song. Check this out. I need some rhymes for it. And he plays like a demo of Poison. And I'm sitting in the back seat like, this will never work. like I just couldn't see it. You know what I'm saying? I couldn't see it at all. So he's like, yeah, I need some rhymes. And each one of us in the car rapped, technically. You know what I'm saying? Dana rapped, Dougie rapped, I rapped. He's like, yeah, man. So everybody's just scratching their heads and talking mess on the way to the club. And when we get to the club, I hand Mike a napkin. And on the napkin, it said, Poison, deadly, moving in slow, looking for a mellow fellow like DeVoe, getting paid, laid, so you better lay low, scheming on Heart's money and the whole show. The low pro hole should be look like the whole rhyme. And I was like, here go your rhymes, man. Good luck. And literally the next call I got from them was to meet them in Jersey City. And I got a call from Mike and them, but then I got a call from another girl that I was dating.
You stupid, yo.
And she was like, yo, we shooting this video in Jersey City. You should come through. And then Mike called me and said the same thing. I'm like, well, I just got two of the same calls. Let me see what this is. And it's Poison, the video. And, luckily I'm dating one of the big butts in the smile. And I got to see this video come to life. And the song come to life. And, all business stuff got worked out. But that's how it happened. I totally did not see that record coming at all.
Wow, that's crazy, yo. Who else have you done shit for like that?
No, nothing like that. No, that was an anomaly. I think from that point on, if somebody tell me they putting out a record, I'm believing them, and then when we work, we're gonna actually work.
Got you. Yo, that's crazy ass story on like a little napkin joint. Yo, you said in an interview, this is pretty much verbatim, so I want you to elaborate on it. You said that black music has become a parody of black music. Can you elaborate on that, please?
Oh man, yeah, I say this quote a lot. Black music has become the parody of black music. So let's start in the 30s, 40s, 50s, on up to the 80s.
Right.
The black artist has always caught the short end of the stick when it comes to this music business. And that's a whole nother hallway to walk down. But most black artists, they may have come from messed up situations, crazy homes, crazy neighborhoods, crazy upbringings, whatever. But their job, they knew that it was their job to they knew it was their job to uplift the culture, become an example, and bring themselves out of whatever situation they were in. They were never proud of being in bad situations or doing bad things or whatever. Most black artists, they carried themselves a certain way. They dressed a certain way. They acted a certain way. They just portrayed as much excellence as they possibly could because they knew the world was watching. You understand? They knew the world was watching. They knew the world was criticizing. They knew the world outside of Black culture was criticizing and watching. And so it's like, let's see these niggas either fuck it up or make something of themselves. And that's what we were doing for years, right? And then hip hop comes along, and we decided we're still going to do the same thing. You know, when hip hop first starts coming along, you know, you have people like Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five, and they, you know, they tell you they make a record called The Message, and they're talking about where they're from, but they're separating themselves. They're like, okay, this is where we're from, and we're letting you know about it, but we don't have to be that. And every, you know, other rappers, Run DMC, whoever, LL, whoever, didn't have to be that. Then there was a whole movement of Black excellence where you have like X-Clan, Public Enemy, De La Soul, you know, people, Poor Righteous Teachers, you know, people, Big Daddy Kane, Rakim. Everybody was basically letting you know that we are excellent. Salt and Pepper, MC Light, Roxanne Shante, we are excellent. We may rock gold sometimes, but we can throw on a suit sometimes, and we can do so many different things. But we're not what you think we are, because what establishment, white and Black, thought rappers were nothing but drug dealers, killers, incoherent, uneducated goons with money. Please tell me which group of famous rappers do not portray that now. Pretty much, most rappers, not all, but a lot of the mainstream rappers that we are consuming in abundance just portray themselves as goons with money. You know, and they believe that the more money they make, that's the equalizer. And we know that's not the case.
Right.
You know, and you got to sift through hip hop to find the ones that really have substance. And there are some, but what we see, what's placed in front of us, and was placed in front of us for our consumption and for our kids' consumption, and us as adults allow our kids to consume it. You know, the women that we see are strippers turned rappers, hoes turned rappers. The men that we see they're not even the drug dealer no more. They're the drug user now. It's like, we dealing with crackhead rap. Like, if I can go to the past and tell all the rappers from the 80s and 90s who even was on their drug dealer shit, that I'm like, yo, the rappers now are your customers, or the rappers now are the results of now. And this is another thing. The rappers now are the results of the bullshit that we put in the streets in the 80s and the 90s. So we can't separate and point a finger at the new people without taking some responsibility ourselves.
Facts. I always say that.
You know, we were the drug sellers. We created the crack babies, and the crack babies grew up and got record deals. That is 100% what we're seeing right now. And I don't care what nobody else say. That's the truth. And I stand by it. I stand by it 100%. And so back in the days when they would joke on rappers, and when they would make parodies of rap, it's exactly what these rappers look and sound like right now.
True.
You know, it's exactly that. And you know, it even gets even deeper. It's like, you know, us rappers in the 80s and the 90s, early 2000s, we talked a lot of tough shit. Like, you know, not me, but, you know, most of the other rappers talked a lot of tough shit about what they would do, what they could do, what they should do. But these kids are actually doing it. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Count. Let's do a body count. A body count of fallen rappers from this generation versus the body count of fallen rappers from my generation, or maybe the like from, like, say, let's take Biggie and Pac back. You know, it's like our body count is either due to, starting with Biggie and Pac, that's when it's due to murder, right? Outside of Scott LaRock. But our body count was due to illness, poor health and illness. Now it's murder, it's suicide, it's drug overdose, aka suicide. It's all sorts of craziness, and we, as anybody over 45, I would say 40 to 45, we have to take some sort of responsibility, because most of the rappers out are old enough to be our children. So it's, I think my generation is responsible for the crack baby rappers that are out now. I'm never going to just blame them. Kids don't create themselves. The adults that raise them creates the children, and the children just run with it. So most of these rappers' parents are my age, or maybe even a little bit younger than me at this point. So that's the whole meaning of the reason why I say that.
No, I totally agree with you. I mean, like, I always say there's got to be some accountability from the older heads, because for me, when the shit started going south, I stuck my head in the sand. I just said, I'm not going to listen to it. I'm going to do my 90s shit and just not pay attention or whatever. And then 5 years ago, I started complaining, but okay, what's that going to do? So, and I had a young MC tell me, this kid Riggs out of Rochester, he was like, yo, he was like, where were the OGs that, like, to really tell us, like, how to move? He said they were missing. He said, we didn't see no OGs. He said, everybody was trying to put a gun in our hand or whatever. He said, but it wasn't like, he said, nobody was telling us how to move. Don't do this. Don't do that. You know what I mean?
Because they didn't exist. They were in jail or they were dead.
Right.
You
so
understand what I'm saying?
yeah. Right. So now my point exactly. So it's like,
or they were they were crackheads, so they couldn't tell you nothing because they were in the street.
Right, that either dead or locked up.
So you're dealing with a generation of fatherless or parentless kids, and then you got the grandmas. If the grandmoms is raising them, by the time they're trying to raise these kids, they're tired. They're tired, and that's the thing. And I think our generation, I don't know what happened. And I'm not blaming crack on this. What happened to our generation, the non-crack users? How did we get so soft? You know what I'm saying? Like, I saw a comment, and I see this comment a lot, and I'm not trying to disparage anybody in the comment section, but it's always, my kid don't want to listen. Yo, when I didn't want to listen, a quick 2-piece was delivered to me.
Quick,
DoorDash,
done, over.
And
like before you could even like react, son.
Yeah, like, so what happened to that kind of parenting? And I'm not saying for us to be abusers out here, but it's like when you bring up the laziness of a child today, all the parents, all they do is say, well, my kid won't do that. How the fuck are you going to talk about your kid won't do? Your kid will do whatever you make them do or you tell them to do. At the end of the day, like somebody said, the look, some people just have to give a look. And it just takes one. It's not, and I'm not saying to abuse your children at all. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is you have to stop trying to be your kid's best friend. And that's a lot of parents in my generation, they want to be so damn cool with their kids. They want to hang out. They want to listen to the same songs. They on TikTok doing the dances with them and shit. It's like, okay, have fun with your kids. Great. But you gotta, at some point, there has to be some separation between a disciplinarian and an authoritative figure and a kid that's just wanting to do their own thing. And then let's throw the rappers into it. Let's throw these successful young rappers into it. You're dealing with parents that will never say anything to the kid because the kid is bringing in 10 times more money than that parent or that grandparent or that great grandparent has ever done. So now you have the crack baby kid as the provider of the family. And they don't even know how, they have no idea on how to maneuver. These kids are getting 20,000 times more money than rappers from my generation. You know, rappers from my generation never want to admit it. They're not going to be like, they'll be like, yeah, we was paid. Of course, you're paid for 1989, paid 1994, paid, 2001 paid. But this is a whole nother story. You got kids with one record out. Not even a hit record, one record that's popular amongst the kids, and they'll do one show for 150 grand. When I was a kid, when I was younger, if you got paid 150 grand for a show, you better have had 5 platinum records out. And I don't want to go on a tangent, but even though I am, but think about this generation of music. And any young rapper trying to compare their streams against a tangible piece of something that you actually bought in the store. The only way that these kids are successful is because we're giving their product away for free. You understand what I'm saying? No one is taking the time to buy. No one's taking the time to really consume it. It's free. Why not listen to it? It's right. So easy to get somebody to get, like, anybody with 1 billion streams, 100 million streams, 500 million streams. Okay, you can listen to a song 10 times a day and never have bought it. That's like going to the Benz dealership, walking in, looking at the Benz you want, taking it off the lot, driving it around for 250,000 miles, taking it back and saying, I own a Benz. No, you don't own a Benz. They let you drive it for 250,000 miles. It's not necessarily yours. You can't resell it. So on the upside, there's no money coming out your pocket, and you still get all the benefits of consuming this music. And all this new music is consumed for free, as opposed to somebody in the older times where, like a Michael Jackson, who had to make an album, go on tour, go to every damn country in the world, and sell 120 million records. You understand? So it's just totally different. And all these things are relatable to why and how things are today.